Okay, good morning once again to all of you. Today we'll look into the fifth module, and in the fifth module, these are the different topics we are going to look into. So we'll understand what is the problem of state in case of a web application and passing the information, whatever the information user has provided on the web application, how that information is passed to the server as a query string, how to pass the information using the URL path. We are going to look into cookies. What are cookies? How it will help with the maintaining the state, that we'll see serialization, then session state, HTML5 web storage, caching. These are the topics we are going to look into this particular module. First, we'll understand the problem of state in web application. So, what is a state? State is nothing but the whatever the information, current user information. What are the files he has accessed? What updates he has made? Whatever the all comprising all the information, his maybe his IP address, his location. All those information can be formed as we can call it as a state, basically to identify a particular user and helping that user with all the functionality of the application. In order to give all the functionality, knowing the state is most important, essential thing. We should know who is the user, and according to him we can cater. For example, let us say the web application is a e-commerce website. There will be many users to the web application, and this request, HTTP request, will come from millions of users. So if particular user has selected an item and he has put it in the cart, we should know which user has which item, and we should identify his cart only. If he is making any kind of a payments, we have to know that particular user is using his own cart and making the payment and accessing his information. In order to do that, we have to understand the what is the state. So here, in case of a in case of a desktop application, we have one process that is running. There is no problem with a state, because one process and it has access to all the information. So, for example, certain files are opened by that particular user, certain files are saved. All the information will be available locally in that particular desktop. So the state is not a problem in case of a desktop application. But in case of a web application, the application is accessed to the browser, and it will send a request to the server. So the server will receive the HTTP request from the particular browser, from particular user. And when you say open HTTP request, it will try to open some kind of a file. This particular request would be same for if there are 1,000 users and they are clicking on the open. The kind of HTTP request that will come is exactly the same. So server has no way to know which request, means it will know it is a request for certain resource like open.php, but it is coming from which user, it will not know. If you want to know that particular user, we have to intervene programmatically. That is, we have to maintain the state. So all these operations, if you want to contain for particular user, then you have to maintain the state. So maintaining a state is a big problem in case of a web application, and we will say how we can do that. Unlike the unified single process that is the typical desktop application, web application consists of series of disconnected HTTP requests to a web server, where each request for a server page is essentially request to run a separate program. So in case of a desktop application, it's a single process, but here we get so many HTTP requests, and those are disconnected HTTP request, and basically those requests to it will essentially it will request certain resources on the server so that certain program can be executed. HTTP protocol does not, without programming intervention, distinguish two requests by one source from two requests from two different users. So, as I said, if the HTTP requests are coming from different users, HTTP protocol doesn't have any way to know these requests are coming from which users. So we have to programmatically intervene in order to understand the where the request is coming from. So here is the one example. Here we have a user X. So he is a user X accessing the web application, and he makes two requests. So you can see the two requests. One is for one is the get HTTP request requesting a index.php, and another get request requesting a product.php. So these two requests are coming from the same user. What the server will know is the just the HTTP request, and uh, this is essentially, this situation is exactly similar to this situation, where you can see the request, these two requests are coming from two different users. So user X is requesting for index.php, and for user Y, he is requesting product.php. Essentially these two requests are exactly the same, but here it is coming from two different users. But here server has no way to distinguish between two these request. The index.php is coming from the user X, and product.php is coming from the user Y. So how to solve this? Using the state. So what is the need for this? I gave an example of a e-commerce website. Particular user, he has one request where he is adding product to the shopping cart. So there is a shopping cart with the clicks. He is adding the items there, and next stage he will go back and check out for the payment, pay for the item in the cart. So these actions, two actions are there. Un Unless and until we know this is coming from the same user, okay, we will not be able to handle this, because if I certain user X has added n items, n number of items, we should know which user has added n items, and we should able to recognize that user when he is clicking on the pay. So when he is clicking on the pay, that will come as a HTTP request. You should know that that request came from the user X, so that you can take the appropriate action. Okay, so how do we reach our desired outcome? What mechanisms are available within the HTTP to pass the information to the server in our request? Okay, in HTTP we can pass information using either the query strings or cookies. Query strings, you have already, we have seen when we are making a certain request. uh, we can send the query string either as a part of the URL or as a part of the HTTP header. So in case of a get, it would be a part of the URL. In case of a post request, it would be a part of the header. We can send it as a query string. And what is a query string? Essentially, it is the name and value pair. Okay, name and value pair separated by the ampersand. And another way to do it on the client browser side is the using cookies, passing the information via query string. So how to do that? So this is the browser where my web application is running. I have certain fields here: artist, year, and nationality. User will enter the values here. So he has, for example, here he has entered the, for artist he has entered the value Picasso, and for year he has entered 1906, and nationality he has selected as Spain. When user click on the submit button, this particular form will get submitted to the server. And if it is a get method, if it is a get method, it will be sent like this query string. artist is equal to Picasso. This control name given to this control is artist. Name given to this control is year. Name given to this control is a nation. And this is the name and the value pair. Value is whatever user has entered, separated by ampersand. So this is ampersand. Then we have year 1906 and nation is equal to Spain. This is the query string. If it is a post method, it will be sent as a part of the HTTP header. So inside the HTTP header, if it is a post method, okay, we have artist is equal to Picasso, same information separated by the ampersand. Passing the information via URL path. So there is another way to pass the information, that is through the URL. So using the dynamic URLs, there is query string parameters. When we are sending using the query string parameters, this URL, basically what you are saying, this URL will be changed according to as per the information here. Okay, dynamically it will be changed. If the year here is 2000, this URL will change. This value will change to 2000 based on whatever the inputs. URL will dynamically change. Dynamic URLs are a pretty essential part of web application development. How can we do without them? So there is another way to do it, that is using a static, okay, static way of doing it. So the answer is to rewrite the dynamic URL into a static one. Okay, the process is commonly called as a URL rewriting, and this process we call it as a URL rewriting. We will see some of the examples how it can be done. And when we are doing the URL rewriting, it is very helpful for the search engine optimization, SEO. So basically it will be easily whenever there is any search engine that is looking out for the certain information, and it is looking for the a website, uh, based on the kind of a rewriting, how you use the URL rewriting, your website or your application will come up in the top rank. So for search engine, the priority given to your website will be high. So your website will be displayed on the higher ranks. We can try doing our own rewriting. Let us begin with the following URL with its query string information. So here is the one example with this is a query string information. This is the website we have, www.somedomain.com /. Then we have the name of the resource on the server, display artist.php question mark. Then we have this value, artist is equal to 16. On particular web application, there is a information about the artist 16. So we don't know who is the artist. It is identified by the number 16. So another alternate approach for rewriting this URL is like this. Same www.somedomain.com /artists. So we will have we are changing the URL. We are using the artist / instead of having this as a value, we are using that as the PHP 16.php. Notice that the query string name and the value have been turned into a path name. So the artist and the whatever the value we had here, that has been converted into the URL path names. So one could improve this to make it more SEO, that is search engine optimization friendly, using the following. So this is this is a alternate way of representing it. So another good way of representing is here you can see you are using the same website /artists and / you are giving the name of the artist. So Mary hyphen Kasak. So by having the URLs like this, search engine will be able to easily identify and bring your website to the top when it is listing all the website. If there is a good URL rewriting is used, then it will come up in the search. And also when we have URL like this, for humans also, it is very easily they can identify the information from that particular URL, instead of having like this. If you have the query string like this, it is hard to interpret. In this case, it is very easy to interpret that in this website we have artist, and in that artist we have this particular artist that is named Mary Cassette. So there will be more artists. Okay, there will be more names of the artist under this artist path. Okay, similarly, if there is any other information available on that particular website, that can have a similar structure. Forward, let's say products, products forward slash and actual name of the product you can have. So here is the example. The same whatever the we talked about, how SEO will be able to search better when you have a better URL rewriting. This particular example you can see here, we have http colon forward slash forward slash. This is the information that is searched on the Google. What is the information? You may not be able to see it. What is written here is, what is searched on the Google is reproduction, raffle, portrait, la, donna. This is Velata. Okay, that is the name of the artist. That is what has been searched. And on the top, what you can see, this URL which is shown here. This is the URL that is you are seeing. So in this case, this particular name, whatever has been searched, that is used as the name of the HTML, which will easily come up as the top ranking website. So you can see this is listed on the top. Then we have other ways. So this has some other information along with the string is very large. So this got the second, like at the next level, and on the third level we have this particular, this way of representation, where we have forward slash raffle, and then we have the name La Donna Velata. That is the name given, along with the some number is also there. So it will go in the lower order of the listing by the SEO. And if you see, this is the one, the last, which is you are seeing, the last one is the which is having the a query string. So when you have the query string, you can see here v code is there, some kind of a code is there, and title is there. In the title, SEO be, it will be able to search and list it. So whenever you have URL rewriting, okay, if you have used a very structured way of giving the URL, then the search engine will be able to easily search and put the particular web application on top of the listing. In case of Apache, uh, how do we do the URL rewriting? Okay, the mod underscore rewrite module uses a rule based rewriting the engine that utilizes the Perl compatible regular expression to change the URLs so that the requested URL can be mapped or redirected to another URL internally. So in case of Apache, the module mod underscore rewrite, that is used for either changing the URL or redirecting to another URL internally, and that utilizes the Perl compatible regular expression to change the URLs. Okay, next one is cookies. So what are cookies? Cookies are it is a client-side approach to for persisting a state information. So if you want to persist the persist is what saving the information. So on the client side, whatever the activities, whatever the selection pattern that particular user has, preferences that user has, if you want to capture all those preferences, you can use the cookies, and cookies will be on the client side. Okay, it cookies will be the browser will make sure will handle the cookies. It will manage the cookies on the client side. And what are cookies? They are nothing but the name value pairs. So cookies are nothing but the name value pairs, and that will be saved in either one or more text files, and it is managed by the browser. So whenever you make any cookies, set any kind of a new cookies inside your code in the web application, uh, that information will be saved as a name and a value pair. And where it will be saved? It will be saved on the one or more text files on the client system. Okay, and that file is managed by the browser. Whichever browser is accessing the web application, that browser will manage those files. While cookie information is stored and retrieved by the browser, the information in cookie travels within the HTTP header. Okay, the the browser will maintain the cookie, whatever the cookie information that will be maintained by the browser. That is what storing the cookies and getting the or retrieving the information from those cookies is done by the browser. And this information is passed to the server using the HTTP header. So the cookie information will be included inside the HTTP header, and that will be passed to the server. Sites that use cookies should not depend on their availability for critical features. Okay, so if you are having any kind of a critical features, like very important features, then you should not depend upon the cookies, because cookies are on the client side, and uh, those client side, it can be tampered by the user very easily. Either they can remove the cookie or modify the cookie. And also sometime what happens, some other softwares, they can have a they could change these kind of a files, because these files will be present in the file system. They can be corrupted, so there is a lot of possibility of having not right kind of a cookie. So if you have any kind of critical features, it should not be dependent on the cookies. So you should use a there are other solutions which are available without using the cookies. If there is any critical features, that should be implemented. So general kind of a features can be provided using the cookies. If there is any critical features, that should not have a dependency on the cookies, because the reliability of the cookies is itself is on the client system is it is unknown. Like either user can delete it or it can get tampered. How does the cookies work? So this is a example here given. This is the user, and he makes a request. Okay, request to the website www.somesite.com. He makes the request, and that request will come to the web server. Okay, when it comes to the web server, the page the web server page, it sets the values for the cookie. It will set the cookie values as part of a response. When it is sending the response, you can see here, this is the HTTP response that is given to the client, that is given to the this particular browser client. And you can see this is apart from other header information. HTTP has other information like a date, okay, protocol version, okay, and status of the HTTP request. Then host information is there, and some other information is there. Apart from that, you can see this is the information: set hyphen cookie and name is equal to value. Set hyphen cookie name 2 is equal to value 2, and it has a expire. Okay, you can set a cookie with the expiry, or you can have a cookie without the expiry. This particular cookie doesn't have a this particular cookie doesn't have a expiry date. This has a expiry date. Excuse me. So Now what happens is, this particular web application, it has set two cookies. One is the name, second cookie is the name too. So that information, when it comes as a part of a response, browser will save the cookie values in the text files, okay, on the client system, and it will save those text files. And when after saving those text files, it will make a association with this website. So that particular text files are stored on the client system, and it makes a association with this particular website or the web application, because users will be accessing thousands of applications, web applications, and possibly every web application is using some kind of a cookies. So when a particular web application is creating some kind of a cookies, browser has to make sure that which cookies is set by which particular web application. So the browser makes sure that there is a association between the files created. In this particular example, these cookies are saved in a, let's say, this text file, okay, and these two values will be stored inside that text file, and browser will make sure that this file is associated with the this www.somesite.com. So if there is any persistent cookies, whenever users revisits that website, let's say after 3 days, so the same cookie information will be stored on the browser. So this particular browser will be able to access that cookie information. So once it is stored, browser reads the cookie values from text file for each subsequent request for the somesite.com. So once the cookie is stored on the particular client, whenever this user is making any other request, so first, after the first request, the cookies will be set, okay, cookies will be set, the values will be set on the by the browser on the user system. Any subsequent request, so here you can see user makes another request to page in domain. So there are some other request he will make. He will click on some part of the web application to make another request. Whenever the user makes any further requests to the server, that cookie information will be passed to the web server. You can see this is the information cookie. Whatever value was set, that value will be sent back. So name is equal to value, name2 is equal to value2. Cookie values travel in every subsequent HTTP request for that particular domain, and whatever the requests are for further request, HTTP request, every request will have this cookie information. Okay, all the what n number of cookies are set, n number of cookies information will be sent back to the server. Server for somesite.com retrieves these cookies, okay, cookie values from the request header and uses them to customize the response. So on the server side, it will read the cookies from this HTTP request. It will read the all the cookies, and accordingly it will take a the, proper action. Okay, for example, if it is a e-commerce website, and then let us say user has added the some products, so that information is will be stored in the cookie, maybe user information and the product information. And when user clicks on the pay, okay, so all the cookies that are set will be sent back to the server. So when server looks at that particular cookie information, it will come to know who is the user, what he is requesting, and what he wants to do, and accordingly it will do the further payment. If it is a payment, then it will do the payment. There are two kinds of cookies are there. Okay, first one is called as a session cookie, and second one is the persistent cookies. Okay, what is the difference between session cookie and persistent cookie? Session cookie has an expiry stated. In our earlier example, you can see this particular cookie, name2 has a expiry date, and whichever has a expiry date, that is a session cookie, and this one doesn't have a expiry, that is called as a persistent cookie. A session cookie has no expiry stated and thus will be deleted at the end of the user browsing the session. Okay. Sorry, this is a session cookie because there is a no date specified. Here the expiry date specified, so this is a persistent cookie. So whatever is the session cookie which does not have the expiry date, it will get deleted whenever the browsing session ends. Whenever the user's browsing session ends, that time all those cookies will be deleted. However, persistent cookies have a expiry date specified. So persistent cookie, persistent in the self, it will persist, okay, as long as the expiry date, if let us say the expiry is set as 5 days, so that persistent cookie will be in that particular system for 5 days. How to use the cookies, how we can write a cookie. So far we saw how cookies are used to store the information and retrieve the information on the server, and by knowing the cookie status, we can understand the state. Okay, state, and when we understand the state, we can take the actions accordingly. So how to write the cookie? This is the code example. This is the beginning of the PHP code. This is the end of the PHP code. We are setting a variable dollar expiry time, okay, is equal to, this is a time object, so it will get a current time, and we are adding a certain we are adding certain time to it. What time we are adding? We are adding 24 hours into 60 minutes into 60 seconds. So these many seconds we are adding, basically nothing but we are adding 1 day from the current time. Whenever user accesses the application, when this particular code executes at whatever is the time at that particular time, 1 day will be added to that time. That is the dollar expiry time. Then this is how we are going to create the two variables. Dollar name is equal to username, we are setting the username, and dollar value is equal to Ricardo. So this is the name of the cookie, username is the name of the cookie, and what is the value stored? Ricardo, that is the value stored. And how do we set the cookie? You will use this particular method, set cookie. You call the set cookie and pass these values. So you are sending dollar name, comma dollar value, comma dollar expiry time. So the name of the cookie would be username, and value would be Ricardo, and expiry time would be plus 1 day from that current time. So this is how you are setting a persistent cookie. If you don't specify the expiry time, then it will become a session cookie. And whenever you are using a session cookie, whenever that browser session ends, that cookie will be deleted. It is important to note that cookies must be written before any other page output. So this is very important. You have to write all the cookies should be written before outputting any kind of a information on the page. Before outputting anything on the page, you have to set the cookies. In the previous code, we understood how to set the cookie, means how to write a cookie. Once you write the cookie, whenever we get the response, we need to read the cookie, because we saw with every request, okay, if the cookies are already set, with every request, we are going to get the all the cookie information, all the cookie name and value pair will be sent back, so that it will be available for the server. How to read on the server? Reading a cookie. So reading a cookie, we have a super global and dollar underscore cookie. So dollar underscore cookie super global will store all the cookie information in the form of a a key value pair. So if it access the particular key, the name of the cookie, that name will be mapped to a value. That's how it will be able to access. So this is the beginning of a PHP code. This is the end of the PHP code. Inside we are checking whether cookie valid cookie is present. If it is present, then what is the value? How to access that is we have if condition, and what we are checking, this is not, so it will make true to false, false to true. Is set, okay, and inside we are passing is set is the function. It will know whether that particular value is set or not. What we are checking, dollar cookie, and we are giving the name of the cookie. So in the previous code, what is the name we gave for the cookie? The name is given as username. So you give dollar cookie, and you give the key as the username. Then if it is set, it will return true. If it is not set, it will return false. If it is not set, this is set will return false, and we are making not on the false, so false will become true. Then it will come in this particular true block of the if condition. And inside the true block, whatever the action you want to take, if the cookie is not set, you can take here. So it will come in the true block when no valid cookie is found. In this particular case, we have set the value, right? Dollar value is Ricardo. So dollar underscore cookie username, this key is mapped to the value of Ricardo, and since there is a value, this will return is set. It will return true. Then you are making it as not true, will become false. So it will come to the else condition. In the else condition, you are when it will come to the else condition, when a valid cookie is found, the username retrieved from the cookie is, then you are printing the value echo dollar underscore cookie username. So this is echo is, it will output to the browser, and this key username key is mapped to Ricardo. That is the value. On the browser, you will see two things. You will see, one is the user retrieved from the cookie is, and the value is Ricardo. That will be outputted onto the browser. In addition to excuse me, in addition to being used to track authenticated users and shopping carts, cookies can implement. So these are the different things using cookies we can implement. Remember me, persistent cookie. So remember me is, so you are remembering the what was the last actions that are carried by the particular user. So you can uh, to carry forward from there, you can use the remember me. One example for this is like if there is a web application where you are giving many books for the reading for the user, and let us say a user is reading certain book, and he has finished reading 100 pages in the last session. When it comes back to your application, web application, it is we can remember the 100th page, and we can directly take him to the 101st page. So he has already completed 100 pages. So it is a kind of a like a remember me. So this is one example. There are many such things. Remember me can be used for the good user experience. Then store user preferences. So whatever the user preferences are there, you can store those information. For example, you are giving a different layouts, right? If user has a particular preference in the particular layout, particular font, particular color, if are those things are customizable, or other kinds of preferences, maybe related to users reading. If it is a reading, what kind of a what categories of reading users likes, all those can be taken as a preference, and you can remember those preferences, and based on those preferences you can display the information on the web application. track users browsing behavior. How user is browsing, you can track those information, and that basically these kinds of information will help in making user experience rich. Okay, user will feel more comfortable by that way. You can use the cookies. Next one is the serialization. Okay, we will see what is serialization and how it is useful in the next session.